My first Steam release is finally done, and this is not a small project. After almost 3 years of work, 1.0 version is out. And it's available on Steam right now for only $6. Developing the game took a lot of time and effort. It made me learn a lot of new tools and skills. But now it's over, and I'm so happy. Today, I'm going to tell you about the whole development process, from the very first concepts in August 2020 to the final product release in April 2023. But let's start from the beginning. It's August 2020, 2 months after the release of my first game on the Google Play Store. It's the time when I started thinking about my next project. I already knew that I wanted to make a platformer game, but the first concept of the game didn't really resemble the final product. The idea was to make a grappling gun game, where the player controls a small, funny-looking character who is an agent. The game would be about completing levels with possibility of breaking time records. After a few weeks, when I started planning the development, the idea changed completely. According to the new concept, the game was to be a fast-paced action shooter platformer. Shortly after that, I started coding. The first week of the development was very intense, and the progress I made was surprisingly big. After that week, I had a prototype of all the basic mechanics like health, shooting. On top of that, the game already contained a tutorial and the first 2 levels. About a week and a half later, I uploaded the first sneak peek to my YouTube channel. The next one came almost 2 weeks later, and the third one never appeared. That's when the problem started. I had 4 levels done, and the 5th was in the making. But I didn't want to make any new levels, because I wasn't happy with the ones I had. And that's how it stretched out over time. It's the first half of 2021. The development of the game is almost dead. Suddenly, an idea came to me. What if I started from scratch? Then I could do everything better and more polished from the very beginning. In the end, I decided to dump all existing code and assets and start from scratch. With that decision made, I decided to change the way the game worked. That's how the Mr. Meal you know today was born. Suddenly, the development of this game was interesting again, and I was full of motivation. Over the next few weeks, I rebuilt all the basic mechanics of the game, including the shooting and weapon systems. I created a prototype of an agency location, which is probably one of the most important places in the game right now. I designed about 50% of the first mission and decided to give the game to my friend, EcoMaster. He played it right away, and his thoughts were quite interesting. You must know that the game looked completely different. Like the robots that are in the game right now are identical, but in the first version they didn't kill you. They just started the alarm and spawned Mr. Meal's monsters that were to kill you. Eco found out that it made no sense of using weapons, as far as you couldn't kill the robots, only the monsters, and if the robots spotted you, so many monsters would be spawned all the time. At that point, I could do 2 things: reduce the amount of monsters, or simply remove weapons from the game. And my decision, which might come as a surprise to you, was to remove the weapons, the combat system, and even the health system. I also decided to reduce the number of chapters to tell the whole story. After that, the game was going to have 3 longer chapters. The first chapter for the early access version and another 2 for the full release. This concept eventually changed to the first 2 chapters for early access release and the final chapter for version 1.0. And so I got to work. The new idea was much more ambitious, so there was a lot of work, but I was making progress, so it all turned out to be a good thing. In November 2021, the first chapter of Mr. Meal was finished. I informed the playtesters that I would have the playtest version ready by the end of the year. Shortly after New Year's Eve, the playtesters received the keys. While the playtesters were testing the first chapter, I set up a product page on Steam for my game, and of course, started developing the second chapter. The early access release was scheduled for the 4th of March 2022, so there were only about 2 months left. After the playtesters had tested the first 2 chapters of the game, it was time for the release. I was really excited when the game was released, but I knew it wasn't the end. I developed 2 content updates that were not related to the story activities. You can find all the changelogs on Steam. Then I took a 2-month break from Mr. Meal development. I decided to make a small mobile game called Juice Empire. It's not a subject of today's video, so I'll just say that the devlog series about Juice Empire is available on my channel. After finishing my side project, I came back to Mr. Meal. Then I released 2 major early access updates, one in August and one in December. One update changed the look of all Mr. Meal's bases and the other introduced power-ups to the game. After that, I found some more playtesters and started working on the 3rd and final chapter. The full version of the game was released on the 7th of April 2023. The 3rd chapter added the final part of the game, as well as many other activities available to the player, among countless bug fixes and improvements. I'll leave a link to store page in the description of this video for those who are interested in playing the game. Now you might ask a question. What's next? I plan to do a short devlog series on another mobile game soon, and after that I plan to make another big project. If you are interested, you can subscribe to my channel and join my Discord server and stay tuned. See you!